Hello, my name is Carrie Jackson. I'm a trainer with Global PM. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the differences between P6 and Oracle Primavera Cloud, or OPC. So if your organization has recently transitioned from P6 to OPC, or you're considering making the move from P6 to OPC, we hope that you join us over the next couple of weeks to understand the key differences between these applications to make your transition as smooth as possible. So this week we're going to be talking about resources and the differences between how P6 and OPC maintain and utilize the resource list. Last week we talked about the difference in how P6 and OPC manage data. So P6, we have enterprise or globally available data or project-specific data. But in OPC, we'll have workspace level data or project specific data. We don't have the same global dictionary structure that we do in P6. And that's also the main difference in how our resources are going to be used in each application as well. So in P6, you would be used to having one single centralized resource dictionary that all projects and all activities within those projects pull from. That gives us the foundation for centralized resource management. So then I can view resource allocations and do resource analysis within a single project, or I could quickly toggle to see that data for all projects. And in addition to that, I could then choose to open whatever number of projects I choose to see resource analysis across a group of projects as well. So whether those projects belong to the same enterprise project structure or EPS or not, I can select to open 1, 5, 10, 20 projects in P6 if I have access to open them. And then I would be able to do a resource analysis and review those allocations within just those open projects. Now in OPC, our resource structure is a little bit different because it has the basis in the same workspace structure we talked about last week. So our workspace hierarchy allows us to organize our projects the same or in a similar way as our enterprise project structure. But like we learned last week, our data dictionaries are going to be specific to the workspace hierarchy rather than set at an enterprise level. So in OPC, we get to choose whether our resource list is added at the workspace level or if it's going to be maintained within an individual project or object, like a program. So in OPC, I can choose to have, or I can, if I have a different resource list based on the different type of project as organized by my workspace hierarchy, I don't have to have that one central list that has resources that other projects won't use. So as an example, I have a commercial projects hierarchy of my workspace, and then I have residential project workspace. And if those two types of projects use different list of resources, I can create a commercial list of resources and a residential list of resources. And then I can do that analysis across projects within that workspace or children workspaces of that workspace. So everything is still going to be maintained at that workspace level. That gives me the option to standardize it based on the section or the level hierarchy of that workspace. Or I could manage those resources within an individual project. So in any project, I can choose that I don't want to use those workspace resources. I would like to set that own resource list for the individual project. So I want to hop over to OPC and take a look at some of the differences in how and where we'll see those resources maintained and analyzed in that application. So I've started in my Get Started page, and I'm first going to head to a workspace. So I'm going to come up to my object selector and then my workspace tab, where I'm going to select to open my North America workspace. That will take me to my workspace homepage, where I can see that I have a number of projects within this workspace. So I have 3 projects and I have 1 template within this workspace. These projects within my workspace are utilizing resources within the workspace level resource list. So I'm going to head over to that resource list next. From my main menu, I'm going to go to my resources app and open up my resource list. Now, this resource list that we're about to see is at the workspace level. I can expand these resources to see the full list of the resources I have created and that I maintain at the North America workspace level. I have a column here that shows me the owning workspace of these resources. It's important to know the owning workspace of my resources because that's where all modifications to the resources are going to happen. I have assigned these resources to a couple of those projects that we saw in our workspace homepage. From my object selector, I'm going to click to open one of those projects within my North America workspace. It's going to take me directly to the resource list for that project, and I'll see those same resources and the owning workspace of those resources that came from my North America workspace level. So all of these resources were created and have been passed downward to this project. So you'll notice here that my resources, as I select on them, they're going to have a price per unit associated with them. But unlike those other areas where I get that little do not edit symbol on my cursor when I hover over that, you'll notice I don't get that down here in my availability and rates. I can have varying rates for these resources that are maintained at the workspace level within the individual projects that they are assigned to. So if for a particular project that resource has specific rates that we want to use that are different from the rates that we have at the workspace level, I can click in here to change that. I also have the ability to do that with my max units per time as well. So if I have a varying availability for those resources within a particular project, those are two fields that even once I pass downward to the project or children workspaces, I have the ability to vary those settings within the individual project or child workspace. And I have a brand new project, which I'm going to navigate to next. I can assign those resources from the workspace level, or I can create a project-specific resource list. Now, there's a couple of ways for me to pull these resources down to my project activities. Assign a workspace level resource to an activity. I'm going to select my A1010 activity, and from my resource assignments tab, I'm going to click to assign. Now, when I come to my Assign Resources dialog window, I have two radio buttons at the top. I can choose to filter that by project list of resources or from a workspace list of resources. When I toggle that to workspace, I can expand out my resources and I can choose the resource I'd like to be assigned to this activity. So the actual assignment process really does feel very similar to what you have in P6. Next, I want to hop over to this project's resource list. I'm going to go to my main menu and I'm going to go down to resource list. Now, what I want you to know when we open up this resource list is that I only have the two resources that I have already assigned to those activities. So if I assign a workspace level resource, it pulls that resource downward to the project, and then that resource is added to the project's resource list. I can also pull my resources down manually and put them at my project level resource list and then have them show up when I go to assign those resources within my project radio button in that assign resources window. To do that, I'll click this assign button, and when I choose to assign resources, it's going to give me my resource list from my parent workspace. Now, as I expand these out, you'll see those two that we've already assigned, our design engineer and project manager, already have those little check boxes next to them because they were pulled down when I assigned them to activities. If I want to make all these resources available within this project, I'll select the top level North America resources, which will check all the check boxes for its children resources as well. I'm going to click assign, and then it'll pull all of those resources down to my project, and now I can assign them from that assign resources window without going over to that workspace area. Next week, we'll take a look at the difference of how P6 and OPC analyze our resources.